Welcome to Naked Notes. I'm your host, Jasmine Willois.
And I'm Natosha Navarro. Thank you guys for joining us on season 4, episode 9. We are so excited about this episode, so much so that we're just jumping right into it.
But I'm very excited to have something we can talk to those people who are in the military and let them know that they have an opportunity to invest in notes as well, right? A lot of times, people who serve for the country, they don't get the proper financial planning that everyone else does, right? And so I'm really excited to bring Belinda to the table to talk about that. And then she's talking about something else too, right?
Yeah, she's going to be talking about business trust. So we'll be talking about TSPs, which is the Thrift Savings Plan for the military. Something I wish I would have known about when I was in the military, but of course I didn't know Belinda. But you guys now have the advantage if you are active duty military and or if you're federal employees that get to take advantage of this type of an opportunity. But let's jump right into our special guest. So Miss Belinda Savage is going to be joining us today. She is an expert on all things IRA, self-directed IRAs. I met Belinda several years ago, right away when I joined the program, and I was so blown away. She spoke at one of our lunch and learns, and I thought, this lady is the smartest lady I've ever seen in my entire life, and she has more energy than anyone I've ever seen in my entire life. Maybe it's
she had known me at
thing.
that point, just so you know. Belinda literally out-energied me in this conversation.
Which is impressive, very impressive.
I happen to call Belinda my soul twin, so we're both from East Coast. We've got the same spirit, the same fire. And so meeting her was like a dream come true for me, especially when I started this program. So you better believe you met her when you first joined this program. And everyone since has had the opportunity to meet her because she is part of the reason for not only my success, but many of our members' success. So really get to know this woman and ask as many questions as you can, because we are here to provide you guys with opportunities to find money. And that's what she brought to me.
Man.
So let's bring on Miss Belinda Savage.
Hello.
Have we ever had you on the podcast?
No.
I cannot believe we're in season 4 and you've never been on. Like, you're such an integral part of our business. It feels like
save the best for last.
Yes.
I was gonna say it's because we're gradually up. You know, you've got a lot of deep stuff to get to. So season 4 is right where you belong.
I'm all over it. And by the way, it's so great that we're talking about military, because I had to cancel our annual golf outing, which raises money.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
For homeless vets in San Diego County.
That was July, right?
I'm hoping to do this on another month in 2021 early.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm just letting you know.
Well, I have been doing that golf event for at least 5-6 years, so I definitely look forward to it. And if I may say that it's kind of inspired us to kind of transition most of our marketing to golf. So wait till you see what we have in store for our Buyers Club, Belinda. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
I love it, because you know how much I love getting everybody out there. We have so much fun.
Yeah, the great outdoors. So let's talk about what you thought of when I introduced you to this program that I created, because we have a pretty decent friendship. We go way back. But when I told you I was going to start this company, what happened? What came to your mind?
First of all, I was right on board. What did I say to you? I said, go. The green light is there.
Go hard.
Yep.
Yeah. Step aside from everybody else. Move ahead. You had all the enthusiasm. You had the expertise. You had the background. That's where Jasmine and I have Wall Street background. And we were both traders. I was on the institutional bond side, the debt side, and she was on the equity side. But the point is, we learned from some of the best in Wall Street in terms of communication and negotiation. And you need that when you're talking about investing in alternative assets like private notes and real estate. Got to learn to talk. You have to walk, but you got to talk.
You know, and I second that. I never really thought of that too much, although we do encounter that when we're training. One of our biggest obstacles is to teach people how to negotiate, right? But I really never hit me that how important it was. You're right, until you get in the alternative space, because there's usually not a firm or anyone there holding your hand. It's just you and that the seller, right? So you're going to sit there and you're in an alternative world, and there's less, need I say, compliance and just regulations, right?
Correct. And I think that people, for some reason, get timid about raising capital. And I ask them, why would you not want to present an option, particularly to the baby boomers, 50 and up, who obviously want to get away from the volatility of Wall Street? And imagine finding a private note or real estate project and working on it, having the control, choosing where, when, and how they want to invest.
And the know-how.
It's just an obvious, huge yes. Where do I sign up?
I think it's saying a lot also, since you both came from the stock market type of in Wall Street, and you both are kind of preaching, hey, there's so many people that want to get away from that. We know exactly what it's all about. We were there, we've been there, done that. And now people really want to find alternative assets to invest in with their retirement accounts and take control of their retirement accounts.
And they don't have to take it out. Listen to this. You know how many times I've gotten phone calls of people who were at Fidelity and Vanguard, and they were telling them to take their money out of their IRA 401k, take the tax hit, and then go into these asset classes. And I said, someday I'm going to have a class action suit against them because they told a myth that they never, ever should have taken it out.
And part of that's just to
no.
Yeah, most of that's just to deter people from taking assets from the Morgan Stanleys and the Wall Street area, right? So honestly, the reason they tell you to take the most difficult route is so that you just don't do it, right?
Exactly.
But what I loved about working with you, and as we get into the product here that you're going to discuss, what I loved about working with you is that you knew, okay, hand to mouth, what needed to be done, and period, amen, that we did have alternative ways to go with our investing opportunities. And so with that type of empowerment, I marched forward. It was just amazing. Yeah.
And imagine there's $26 trillion sitting in pensions, 401ks, and IRAs. Why would you not want to tap into that sector of the financial landscape right now and utilize some of it? You can surround yourself with if you have 10 investors with you from an IRA, using IRA money, do you know you'd have them for 30 years? That's an actual median amount of time. But that's a very powerful tool right there. 30 years.
When we talk about OPM, right, I want you guys to understand that 32 trillion and 29 trillion, whatever that's increasing, that number is really that people like her and companies like her have control of, okay? When people leave their 401ks behind and go to new jobs, a lot of times, as I like to tell people, there's money all around you. So when we talk about this program bringing you the things, she's one of the resources. We talk about resources. Obviously, on a monthly basis, we're going to bring you the inventory, right? And now we're also talking to you about the money. So let's talk about where people can find money if they're in the military.
Absolutely. So their old tax savings plan, or perhaps they started an IRA before they went into the military, they can actually take the old IRA and the tax savings plan and put them together on a self-directed platform. Can't do it with Ameritrade, cannot do it with Schwab or Fidelity. You can only do it with a trust custodial bank, which I have, M2 Trust out of Denver. Mm-hmm. And I can assure you, we provide the highest caliber of education and service because we're all about the fact American investors deserve this. They save their money, they set it aside. Why do you want to keep it in Wall Street right now when they're almost only 1,500 points off the highest Dow Jones average in the history of the economy? Doesn't make any sense. Why stay there? Take your profits, come out, position it into notes or real estate projects. Makes sense. Find value. It's all just simple economics.
So the TSP plan, the Thrift Savings Plan is similar. I was kind of doing some research also. I mean, I had one when I was in, but similar to a 401k, correct? And that in the sense that when you're actively in the military, it's treated kind of like a 401k where you don't have a ton of control, but that's what we're going to debunk the myth today on, is that you actually possibly can utilize it while you're in there. One of the other things that I had annotated is that this is one of the, similar to a 401k, the government actually will match up to 5% of all the money of your base pay that you put in there. So it's one of those things for the military. I know that they automatically enroll them up to 1%. That's just the way the military does it. But then if you, put additional funds in there, they'll match you up to 5%. So for anyone who's listening that is actively in the military or a federal employee, this is something you really want to take advantage of.
without a doubt, it's finding out that you have options. People feel terrible when they're really closed in and they don't have A, B, or C. And everyone in Wall Street saying, oh, you only have A. You're only allowed to invest in mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and annuities. And whatever you do, don't go to an annuity, because as we all well know, that actually locks them in for 7 to 10 years.
Right.
This is the most incredible, most dynamic platform in the universe. That's what I'm going to say.
So what type of restrictions come with this? Is it similar to the ones when we have a 401k and we roll it over? Are we, you know, same type of restrictions as far as who we can invest with and how long we have access to they would have access to the money? Because I got to tell you right now, I didn't know that they matched. That was very interesting to me. So I'm learning stuff as we talk. So a lot of you guys out there really may not understand that you have some of the similar opportunities, right, with the TSP that a lot of anybody who gets out of college and goes to, you know, a regular corporation gets started with. So tell me about that.
So the tax savings plan has the ability, just like any federal employee, to be rolled over, we call it. So it comes away from a very limited menu, and they have actually negotiated with only certain financial institutions. Could be, like we said, Fidelity, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, could be Schwab, but basically you're only allowed to invest into 2 asset classes, and that's stocks and bonds, equity and debt. Whereas there's 23 other asset classes in the whole economy, and those have been pushed aside. So what about real estate, both domestic, foreign, multifamily, you know, single family, whatever it might be? The point is, you're allowed to invest in any kind of real estate and stay tax deferred. Notes, same thing, foreign and domestic. It's for multifamily. It doesn't matter whether it's commercial, residential. So that's where there's a difference.
So if I'm watching this right now and I said, oh my gosh, I have TSP, what would I do? I give you guys a call. What would that process look like? How would I get access to that money?
Yeah,
and then
they want to call a professional like myself so I can explain it to them. They want to understand and have the confidence to do this. So many people think there's a risk. Well, there's no risk if it's secured by the real estate. And then we go through the process and the time frame. And the time frame can literally be 5 days. We did a note, by the way. We started on a Monday. We had the note done by a Friday. So that's just
nice.
Yeah.
And just real quickly, as we talk about the risk and some of the restrictions, that is very important if you're going to be in the alternative space, especially in the note space, because when it's time to close a deal, it's time to close a deal. And so a lot of the firms out there are not, you know, fluid with the product enough to get that transaction done in time. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll lose that opportunity to the next person who's got cash, right? And so in order to make sure that your offers are as solid as the guy who comes to the table with cash, we always suggest that our members position themselves with firms like M2 Trust and Belinda because they know how to get things done and that there's a serious timeline. But again, tell us about the risk involved and some of the prohibitations that we have as far as who we can invest with. Is it the same?
Oh, okay, sure. So now here's the funny thing. You cannot buy real estate or a note from a parent, a spouse, or a child with your tax deferred account. But other than what most people don't realize, and I have a bunch of slides now on my presentation showing a whole family can invest in a real estate project or a note together as long as they all go in the same day.
At the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
So the mother and father could have old 401ks, and then the kids could all have Roth IRAs, and they may actually participate in that same project as long as it's together within 24 hours. And yes, one can have cash and one can have tax deferred. So there's all sorts of strategies they have to ask, what are we allowed to do? And that's where we become very valuable in terms of information. I've been head of compliance, litigation. I've been in court 60 times, and I've prevailed in all those court cases. So
When you say valuable, I think the word is invaluable, because at the end of the day, I would have not had the confidence to move forward as a business if I didn't know that I had companies like yours on the end who are going to release funds, right? You get someone who's they're ready to invest in a note with you, do a joint venture, what have you. You have to, make sure that those funds are going to be released so you can close the deal and make so you know what you're talking about, right? And so
yeah,
knowing that this was real, okay, first thing is like, this is a real thing.
right.
And then knowing that you have friends on that side of the industry, that's how you make sure you build a business and you do this the right way. Because again, if you're just walking in, you don't have a relationship. This is why we're bringing you to our podcast, right? And to our members, so they can build relationships and they can talk about how do we get this done on a systematic basis, as far as finding a product, finding a note, a real estate investment, like you said, and getting this done and closed correctly and on time.
Without a doubt, if you don't have professionals who can answer your questions and you don't feel as though you have accessibility, and I've heard this countless times with clients calling up my competitors and those trust custodial banks, oh, you're going to have to find out from an attorney. Oh, you're going to have to find out from a CPA. We're not like that.
Well, that's not allowed, right? Quick to say no.
I have attorneys on staff. They're going to be able to answer those questions.
So one of the questions I had for you, clarifications I had for you, when we're talking about the TSPs, I know that we do actually have a lot of military people, both active and retired, and within our community. But I know that we also have people that are not part of our community yet that are listening to this and wondering if they're active duty military. So they have an active TSP. Are they able to roll that over into a self-directed, or do they have to wait until they retire in order to do that?
Okay, it's a twofold answer. Because of the guidelines within the military, which allows you to retire, I believe, after, is it 20 years?
20 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you put in your 20-year period of time, just like police and firemen do, they have the ability to actually retire earlier. Means they don't retire, but they find another career.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we would be able to roll that account over, or you leave the military, either one. So just like a lot of policemen, which we're doing a workshop just for police in Long Island.
Oh my goodness, is this going to be on virtual? I got to invite my people. We have too many.
No, I wish it was. We're going to do it face to face.
Okay, well,
and if you want to do a virtual,
I do.
An environment, you tell me, and we'll set it up, because I want to tell you, these people desire the information and they deserve the information.
Well, that's what I was going to say as well. It's just really the fact, and that's kind of part of the Snap Nation 5,000 to 5 years. Our whole mantra is to get this information out to people who deserve it. Again, this isn't for everyone, but when I look out there at the hardworking police officers, when I look at the firemen, when I look at the people in the military, one of the main struggles they have when they get out is the finances. And so I say to myself, hey, what can we do to educate them? Because it's the same thing we all have. There's a main struggle that an attorney's going to have when they get out of law school, right? They've got debt. And what they don't realize is the same struggle that a doctor's going to have. So the difference is that people trip over each other to educate the doctor, the new guy out of med school, right?
Correct.
On all these sophisticated strategies. So I'm excited to be one of the first people to be really involved with you to bring in this message to, again, the people that serve the country.
Absolutely. If they give their service every day, we can give our service to them in a 1 or 2 day workshop. To me, it should be perfect. It's a perfect.
Yeah, this is perfect. I spend a lot of time with our clients when it comes to them getting ready to go buy their first note, military or otherwise, and they have their retirement accounts. One of the questions I get all the time, and I have had mixed answers, so I know that you are the final say on this, is can they contribute, like can they buy the note in an LLC and an IRA if they buy it at the exact same time? And they say, okay, we want 80% of the IRA money, 20% of the LLC money.
Okay, so my answer to avoid any flags is to put 50% cash if you're using personal money and 50% tax deferred, so that the IRS may not rule it as having any personal benefit. Those two words are highly used when looking for an issue with a contract. But if you use 50% here and 50% there, there is no question we're okay. We're satisfied.
So keeping everything simple, right, is really what I learned from speaking with you. And that, again, is part of our mission, is to make sure that we take some of these complicated communications, investment strategies, and as I like to say, right and crown with them, right? And so what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? We definitely have a little more questions, but what's the best way? Let's take a moment and tell people what's the best way to get in touch with you.
Two ways. Either call me at my office, and my office number is 848-233-9729, or write me. I'm going to give my Gmail account because it's so much easier to use. It's BG, my first two initials.
Okay.
Bravo George Savage 800 at Gmail. I have an M2 as well, but just get a hold of me there. BG Savage 800 at Gmail.
That's easy enough. That's easy enough. Yeah, no. So before we transition into the next topic, I definitely want to just, again, make sure that we understand that there's an opportunity for people, police officers, right, and people who are in the military, once they leave and have something to roll over, to take that money and participate in some of the things that the other people are doing, the counterparts. And these are the people that literally just retire from Lockheed Martin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can find yourself sitting in the same seats with people that are doing some extraordinary things and getting extraordinary returns. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. One of the things I was looking at is that for those that are in the military or federal employees who hopefully they understand what they've invested in, but everything is treated very similarly to the 401k. Even the contribution amounts, I think it's up to $19,500 for 2020. And so just making sure that you're taking advantage of this. I know a lot of times within the military, they don't always preach personal finances. It's not like that's a topic that we're, they pull us aside and try to say, what are you going to do after the military? How are you going to be prepared after the military? So there's not a ton of focus on them saving for retirement, really. People think when they retire from the military, oh, I'll get paid, but it changes all the time. So making sure that you take control of your finances when you are able to leave or when you do retire, rolling it over to something self-directed. Belinda, even though, there are other companies you can go to, we highly encourage you to reach out to Belinda to answer any questions that you might have.
We enjoy that. We enjoy talking to the client. We want to know everything about them. It's almost like an accountant or an attorney. It's a very personal relationship because I know about your finances, your family, what you hope to do, what's your goals. Okay. And with that, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
And you really do feel that way, Belinda. Like people, when our clients talk to you, they always say, Belinda's so passionate and she responds so quickly and she knows so much. Like, I can't believe you've been doing this for so many years and you still have so much passion surrounding what you do, but people really can feel that.
Here's the 1-2 punch. The 1-2 punch is, as we just went through, Belinda's here to educate you on how to find the money, how to roll it over and get access to it. Then you got to get the proper education. And that's why the two of us, you'll see us, I like to say, on tour as much as possible, right? I love it.